Hello everyone, and welcome to your second video on completing the square. So before we get back to the examples, I just want to review what we learned before. First of all, completing the square refers to a quadratic equation. So that is always in this format. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And these, remember, the a, b, and c, those are numbers, coefficients that go in front of your x term, or in this case, just an integer. Well, I suppose it could be a fraction too. A number goes here. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c. Our first step is going to be to move c to the other side of the equation. So if we had the example that we were doing before was x squared plus 6x minus 12 equals 0, our first step would be to move c. So it would be x squared plus 6x equals positive 12, right? Then we would eliminate any ugly coefficients by dividing, right? By dividing. In this case, we don't have an ugly coefficient, so we can just leave that. Then we are going to take b, which in this case is 6, and we are going to divide it by 2, or if you prefer, think of it as multiplying it by 1/2. So we get a 3 as an answer, and we're going to circle that answer. Then we're going to square the circled answer. So 3 squared equals 9, and we're going to double circle the result, right? Or you can sun the circle. You know, you can do the little, I like this method actually. Okay, so you double circle the result, and then you add the double circle to both sides of the equation. So the equation is x squared plus 6x plus 9 now, that's our new addition, equals 12 plus 9. That's our new addition. Okay, that's what we've done so far. All right, so let's go back to one of the problems that we were doing before. This is that problem. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 21. That's where we're at now. Now, our next step is going to be to factor this side of the equation, and it's gonna work. Now, you are going to be able to think of two numbers that multiply together to make 9 and add together to make 6, right? And that's going to be x plus 3 times x plus 3, right? Is everybody with me? Okay, good. Now I'm going to rewrite this as x plus 3 quantity squared equals 21. And now we are going to be able to use our perfect square property, right? Where we could take the square root of both sides, making sure that we consider our negative answers. So this is going to be x plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 21. So x is going to equal negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 21. I just double check to make sure that I can't break that down, and I can't. So this is my answer. Wow. Okay, so we got a very funky looking answer here, but we didn't have to use the quadratic formula. That is the whole purpose of completing the square. All right, let's take a look at the second problem we did, which was harder, remember, because we had an ugly coefficient here. So remember, we started with this equation, 4x squared minus 91x plus 3 equals 0. And we moved our 3 over, so we have a negative 3 on this side. And then we divided everything by 4 because we wanted to get rid of that ugly coefficient. So our resulting answer is x squared minus 91 over 4x equals negative 3/4. And then we took the negative 91 over 4, we multiplied it by 1/2, We got negative 91 over 8, and we circled that. Then we squared it, and we got positive 8281 over 64. You can think of this as being in parentheses. I should have put that in parentheses. Okay. So negative 81 over 8 squared gives us 8281 over 64. And that is what I added on both sides. Okay, so now we have to try to combine these two terms. We can't combine these two because this is an x term and this is not. But these two we have to make pretty over here. So let me see, 64 divided by 4, isn't that a regular number? I hope so. Yep, it's 16. So I could multiply this thing by 16 over 16, and I would get negative 48 over 64 plus 8281 over 64, which equals 8281 minus 48 equals 8233 over 64. All right, so my new equation is x squared minus 91 over 4x plus 8281 over 64 equals 8233 over 64. All right, now we have to factor this. And at this point, you might be thinking that I have lost my mind because there is no way that we are able to do this in our heads. I wouldn't even know how to do it with the calculator. So you will be happy to know that there is a method to my madness. Watch this. That's what I got. What, you say? Yeah. Okay, so remember up here where we had a single circle and then we had our sun circle? And our sun circle is what got added to both sides of the equation. Our single circle is what goes in here. Wah! That goes right there, just like that. And it works every time. So now we can use our perfect square property. And I'm going to be running out of room here, so let me just get another piece of paper. Got to move my Diet Coke, got to move my stuff. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is going to become, when I take the square root of this, x minus 91 over 8, and that is going to equal plus or minus the square root of 8233 over 64. Well, that looks a lot more doable, doesn't it? I hope so. It's supposed to look more doable. So, all right, so now we're going to add 91 over 8 to both sides. So x equals 91 over 8 plus or minus the square root of 8233 over 64. So that is our answer. Now, this is in ugly form, right? We probably are able to reduce this number. We certainly are able to reduce this number. We would not want to have a radical sign in our denominator, so that's a problem. So we've got a lot of like cleaning up sort of issues, but we have arrived at what x is, and that is good. All right, so let's spend a second and let's clean up. 91 I don't think is divisible by anything, but let's just make sure it's not divisible by 4. It's not. Okay, so I'm going to keep this as 91 over 8. And then this is going to be, let's just make sure 8233 doesn't have a perfect square, which it doesn't. And it's not divisible by 4 or 16 or 36. All right, so we're just going to leave it like that. Right? Because the square root of 64 is 8. And then we are going to further make this lovely since these two denominators are the same. And we are going to call that our final answer. So, yes, those are ugly numbers. No doubt about it, right? But it would be even worse if we were trying to figure out according to the quadratic formula. We would get the same answer, but it would be harder because we would have more stuff that we had to do. So that is the purpose of completing the square. All right, let's do our last one here. This was 17x squared minus 3x plus 22. Remember, first we moved our 22. So we had 17x squared minus 3x equals negative 22. Then we divided everything by 17 and we got this. Then we took our middle term, multiplied it by 1/2 and circled the answer. Then we squared that whole term, and again, you can think of this as being in parentheses. I forgot to write my parentheses because I made my circle instead, but, you know. Anyway, take this and square it, and so you get 9 over 1156, and then that is what you put here. So our next step is going to be to combine these two numbers over here. Wouldn't it be great if 1156 was divisible by 17? It is. I wonder if it would always work out that way. I don't know. Maybe yes. I don't know. Maybe. All right, so 68 is the answer here. So I'm going to multiply this by 68 over 68. So 22 times 68 is, so we get negative 1496 over 1156 plus 9 over 1156. So that's going to equal negative 1487 over 1156. All right, so our new and improved formula, I shall write this down for you neatly over here, is going to be x squared minus 3 over 17x plus 9 over 1156 equals negative 1487 over 1156. That's our new and improved formula. Okay, so now, what's our next step? Well, our next step is to break this bad boy down here. And that is going to be x, oh, put my paper away, and I need it. X minus 3/34 squared equals negative 1487 over 1156. Right, now where did this number come from? That was our first circle, remember? Yes, that is our first circle. So we are using our circle and our double circle. All right, so now we take the square root of both sides. And we take the square root over here, and remember we want to consider positive and negative answers, and we have a problem, people, don't we? We have a problem. We have a problem because we are being asked to take the square root of a negative number. And can you do that? No, you cannot do that. So no real solution is the answer to this problem. Okay, terrific. All right, so now you have done both videos for completing the square. Now we'll do 1,000,007 examples in your homework. Not too many at once, though, because it makes your head hurt. Good luck.